What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Happy Friday, by the way. Hopefully you guys got a good weekend lined up. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about Tholan Foulbeard, the brand new fusion that's ongoing right now. And we're going to talk about some serious pain points with this champion and how it was implemented in the game, how this was announced to us. But first, let's go over some good news right now. There is a couple active promo codes in the game right now, and I'm going to share that with you guys right now. So first, promo code, if you guys are interested, if you guys have basically any account, this is for anybody in the game. So go to promo code and type in midsummer, and then this should give you some goodies here. Boom, there we go, guys. Midsummer as a single word. There we go. We got 5-star chicken, 100k silver, and a little bit of energy. So make sure you guys claim those right now. Still active as of time of this upload. Now there's also a second promo code ongoing right now, and it's going to be this guy right here right here. So it's going to be Demon Slayer. Now this one is for brand new players only. So that's a little bit of a touchy topic because the fusion is ongoing. This is the first time they've actually offered the ongoing fusion at the same time as a promo code for brand new players. So it feels kind of bad because we have to grind for the fusion, but at the same time, a brand new player will have no chance at grinding for a fusion. So if you're a brand new player, welcome to Raid. Obviously use this promo code to pick up Tholin if you guys are interested. Once again, this code is for brand new players only. It will not work for existing accounts. All right, so let's get into these pain points that I'm talking about here. So first, let's answer these two questions. One, should you go for Tholin? And two, is he worth going for? Now, yesterday I released my Tholin showcase. We were all basically prohibited from talking about Tholin until the day of his fusion. And this makes sense because of the marketing for the brand new player promo code. This was probably why we weren't allowed to talk about or showcase the champion a bit earlier. So yesterday I released my Tholan Foulbeard showcase video, and regrettably I used a 6-star blessing on him. Now, if you kept up with my recent videos, I did do a showcase on Karosa, which is the brand new mythical champion that's introduced in the game. She's also the boss of the event dungeon, and I also used a 6-star blessing on her as well. Now, Plarium has been offering the 6-star blessings for some of the test champions recently, but usually I never go with the 6-star blessing. So after the Karosa showcase, I had a little bit of fun with the 6-star blessing. I felt that it was a big power boost, and I wanted to show Tholin at his absolute maximum, which was with the 6-star blessing. Now, if he was really good with the 6-star blessing, then we can basically confirm that he would just be really good as a good long-term investment. You max him out and you would feel pretty good about it. Now, I totally understand that this is something that showcases him in a way that makes him seem too powerful. Now, that is regrettable, and I think overall, I would much rather prefer him to have the 5-star blessing because at least the 5-star soul would be attainable through something like a Hero's Path or a Titan event after the fact. What viewers need to keep in mind when they are watching these showcases is how the champion performs in their current setup against relatively similar comparables in the same video. That's the best comparison that you guys can make. That's the best takeaway from videos like that, regardless of what kind of gear or anything else that they have. So in the future, I will just make champion showcases around 5 stars or maybe no stars as opposed to 6 stars. So every day we learn something new. So that's what I'm going to do moving forward. So thank you guys for the feedback in the comments for the video for Tholin. I just want to show you guys my most recent videos. And, obviously you guys did not like it considering that it is the worst liked versus disliked video that I had recently. So thank you guys for the feedback. I'll definitely take that back for my next showcases and future showcases. My intention is not to mislead or overhype. If you guys have been watching my fusion showcases and showcases for champions in general, I never really like to be the overhype person. And I generally feel that Tholin in my showcase was performing very, very well against relatively strong competition in Arena, for example, and performing very well in the highest levels of PvE content. Now, with that being said, I want to bring your attention to this brand new news that just got confirmed by Plarium today. Hey folks, we noticed a bug with Tholan Foulbeard, the current fusion event champion. If he manages to land weaken debuff on all enemies with his A1 Demon Breaker during an ally attack of his team, he can get an extra turn. Even though this extra turn was not intended to occur in this scenario, this behavior is unintended consequence of a technical error in his AI and is not the way the skill was supposed to work. So we will fix it in one of the future updates. So this is the big nerf that's happening to Tholin right now. And I'll show you guys exactly what is happening because they referred to some content creator videos showing this in action. And I got footage here right now. All right, so this is from the Fusion Showcase video that we did yesterday. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, or what Plarium's talking about with this bug with Tholin. I'm going to start off here with Mikage's ally attack. So everybody attacks, the weaken is applied, and look, Tholin takes a turn right away. So this is what they're talking about when they're saying that he gets an extra turn if he applies the weaken on an ally attack. Now, why is this significant and why is this a nerf to Tholin? So basically any team that he is in with ally attack mechanics in it, he will benefit from when he lands the weaken on everybody, effectively giving him, an extra turn, or you could think about it as a massive turn meter boost. This means that he gets more turns. This means that he will deal more damage. So effectively this nerf will nerf him in those kind of team combinations that benefit from ally attack. If people are doing any kind of serious damage in Hydra, for example, they will definitely be bringing 1, 2, even 3 ally attack or join in attack champions to boost overall damage. So this overall will hurt Tholin's performance in basically places, I think mainly Hydra, and it'll be strictly a damage loss. Now, how much of a damage loss are we talking about? So I'll show you guys some context here. So here is some images from Nubkek's most recent showcase video on Tholin as well, where he compares Tholin in a directly comparable gear against Thor, which is probably somebody that, we were all questioning whether he was going to be better than or compared to. And here is Tholin in this brutal team with him at 194 million damage. And then we have the same gear, same team swapped over with Thor, and Thor's doing 228 million damage in the identical team, identical difficulty. Now here it's about a 15% damage difference between Thor and Tholin. And we can check out his team composition here. It's only 1 ally attack with the Podrig. Now I'll show you guys another team comparison here from another showcase. This is from Elsie, another really good content creator. Make sure you guys check him out. So we got Thor here doing 736 million damage, and then we have Tholin here doing 692. Now in this comparison, the damage difference is about 7%. So between the two different showcases, we have about 15% difference and a 7% difference. Now the big thing with Elsie's comparison is that Elsie is actually running 2 ally attack champions. He has Teox and Podrick, so you kind of see Teox and Podrick here. Again, both of them are direct comparison to each other. In this case, Nubs is using a 5-star Thor versus a 5-star Tholin, and then Elsie here is using a 6-star Thor versus a 6-star Tholin. But the damage difference, 15% versus 7%, probably directly relates to the double ally attack, benefiting Tholin more so that he gets extra turns when he lands all the weakens against the Hydra heads. So as I was mentioning, the more ally attacks you have in your team, the more Tholin will benefit from his A1 giving him extra turns. Now with this intended bug fix, Tholin will not have that happen to him anymore. So we won't be seeing that level of difference in terms of overall scores benefiting Tholin from more ally attacks anymore. But we can kind of see from the low end of things, he is about 15%-ish worse than Thor in terms of overall damage, all things being equal across the board, which was ultimately the conclusion that we had in my showcase as well, that he was close to Thor but not quite up to par, at least in Hydra. Now if we package everything in Chimera and all that stuff, he's actually very, very solid in Chimera, much better than Thor of course, so he can be a damage option there. Also because he's force affinity, you can also use him in place of Thor in Hydra rotations that benefit force as opposed to benefiting magic. So even with this intended bug fix, is he still worth going for? Yes, absolutely. He is a good fusion, great fusion. It doesn't mean that because he is slightly worse than Thor that he is a bad fusion suddenly and he'll have absolutely no use. No, that's not the case at all. He's a damage dealing champion that brings AoE weaken without requiring accuracy. This is very, very strong. He can pitch in a lot of damage, not a little bit of damage, a lot of damage, even if it's about 85% of what Thor does. And Thor, we know, is an insane damage dealing champion, especially against bosses, like waves of bosses or waves in general. So this nerf won't dismiss how good he is, but it does soften him up a little bit. Now, it would have been nice for Plarium to let us know this stuff before the fusion happens, of course, before people actually commit resources. So I think it's a big negative that this happened, obviously bringing his value down, not significantly, but enough that it might sway some people's decisions around him. Like I said, I still think he's a good fusion, a great fusion even. and will help a lot of people. Now, hopefully I provided you guys with enough context about Tholin and his overall performance. We talked about the upcoming nerf to him and how they're planning to fix it. They're saying his interactions with his A1 is unintended, so you're going to be expecting a small performance drop on him. Now, let's jump into how we are going to get him. Now, I didn't do a Fusion schedule plan yesterday. I was just too busy to pump out the Fusion schedule. So we're going to talk about the schedule here right now. It is we're day 2 right now as of the upload of this video, but I think it's still worth talking about just in case we can spot some things or areas that can help some people out. All right, here we go with our trusty happy face. We're going to get started with this Fusion. Now, we do have the advantage of seeing some of the events that are currently active right now. It is Friday, June 6th. So on the first day, we had the Dungeon Diver Inspired Tournament. That's really nice. Usually it doesn't start with Dungeon Divers with a dungeon. So you guys should have spent your, regeneration energy, daily active energy into Spider. So you can get some dungeon diving points. However, you should have saved all of your energy for today, Friday, because now we have the training tournament also active with the Spider tournament and the Dungeon Diver tournament. So now you can triple dip by farming food in your Spider dungeons and then getting points for a Dungeon Diver at the same time. Now, there's a couple champions that can farm Spider with food. They do require some pretty good gear. However, there are options to do lower level Spider with food as well. The best for the high-end builds would be Marius, Otherion, Eric's. You can bring 4 food along, do hard 10, be happy. There are options for the normal Spider. You could use somebody like Akoth. Akoth can do HP burns with 4 food, for example, but there are ways. Also, really nice that the Champion Training Tournament is aligned with the Summon Rush, meaning that you can pull Mystery Shards to farm food. So then you can, basically double dip there as well. So there's a lot of different events going on right now, but they all kind of align together really, really nicely. So like I said, we do have the advantage of seeing some of the events live right now. Let's quickly talk about the Summon Rush, as that's going to be one of the biggest talking points in this Fusion. So we're going to hop in here. We got 3,500 for the rare, and we got 6,100 for the epic. Now, if we do the epic, that gives us the ability to skip 4 events. 4 events. So we will keep that in mind as we go through the schedule and to narrow down which events we want to skip. Now, 3,500 here seems a little bit expensive. Sometimes it's around 3,000, maybe in between 3,000 and 3,500, but 3,500, it seems a little bit expensive. And 6,100 is about right for the epic. At least lately, it's been getting more and more expensive. This means that it's going to be 12 sacreds worth of points, definitely on the higher end of things. Overall rewards doesn't look particularly great. If you want to go pretty ham on the sacred shards, you can get 2 mythical books. I mean, that's okay. 3 Lego books along the way if you guys are interested in that. I hate how there's 4 of these chickens. Like, it's just 4 chickens. Just give us like other materials here, like Iron Twins resources or anything like that, like higher end materials than just the 5-star chickens. So with this in mind, 6,100 for the epic, allowing you to skip 4 events. We go back to the schedule here. Will it be worth it to get the epic? Now, the big thing with the Summon Rush and whether determining to go for the epic or not, and deciding which events you want to skip, is basically what resources you have. So usually what people do is they pick up the epic here for 12 sacred shards worth of points, and then that will allow you to basically skip preferably the next summoning event, which we do see here is a champion chase. So we do see there is a champion chase there, and preferably a couple of the trouble events along the way. Usually they are the Dungeon Diver, and we do have the usual 3 Dungeon Divers here. So you could theoretically skip Dungeon Diver 1, 2, 3. Actually, you could even skip Dungeon Diver 1 if you want. So you could definitely skip all 3 Dungeon Divers and the Champion Chase if you had immediate shards for the epic today and this weekend. Now, hopefully you guys have been saving resources for the last 2 months since we had 2 kind of average fusions. So then this existing Summon Rush would not be too difficult on your shard resources if you guys were saving up a little bit. But I understand 12, sacred shards worth of points is still a big ask. But think about the upside here. You get to skip potentially 3 Dungeon Divers and the Champion Chase. Now, the big thing about this Champion Chase is that it is very likely to be 2x Ancient Shards. Now 2x Ancient Shards is a really strong event for Champion Chase because it gives you quite a lot of value for your Ancient Shards in terms of overall points. So you can clear the Champion Chase relatively easily. And also, because the Champion Chase is at the back half of this fusion, you could theoretically save all of your epics that you require to fuse Tholin and then fuse them during that Champion Chase, making it even more easier. So it's strong consideration that even if you get the epic today in this Summon Rush, that maybe you complete the Summon Rush, the upcoming Champion Chase, relatively easily. Because like I said, 2x Ancients, good value, and then you'll be saving up all your epics to fuse them during the Champion Chase at the back half of this fusion, again giving you free points. So that Champion Chase could be done relatively easily. Now, is it worth going for the epic that's in the current Summon Rush? Well, if you are low on gems and energy, but you have a little bit of shards, definitely go for the epic, in my opinion, because it allows you flexibility with skipping the dungeon divers, which are the biggest resource draws. Here's the existing dungeon diver. Right now, we need 3,700 points. This is very standard nowadays for the 3-day dungeon diver. 3,700 equates to about 5,500 energy, depending on what level you're farming. It could be more, up to 6,000 energy. This can be done in, you need to do this in 3 days. And usually the biggest energy sinks in these fusions. So if you're low on energy, low on gems, you can definitely do the epic, with shards, and then skip these dungeon divers, conserving your energy and conserving your gems. That's if you have shards. If you don't have shards and you have energy, then there's nothing you can do. You can't go for the epic. Finish off all these dungeon divers in the fusion, and then go ahead and complete the Champion Chase at the back half. Of course, you have about a week to save up until the Champion Chase. So that would be your game plan moving forward. But if you wanted to conserve energy, if you wanted to conserve some shards, definitely go for the epic right now so that you have some, flexibility with your resources following this fusion. Now we have the standard gear enhancement events. We got 3 of them here. Each one takes between 15 to 20 million. I would say closer to 20 million in terms of overall silver, but you don't need 20 million right away. You don't need 60 million right away on the start of the fusion because you'll be grinding the next 2 weeks. All right, so like I mentioned, we got the Spider Tournament, Training Tournament aligned with the first Dungeon Diver. That's relatively friendly. The next Dungeon Diver, we have Ice Golem. It also pairs up a little bit with the Champion Training. So Ice Golem's a pretty good dungeon for Champion Training as well, because there are some solo options for normal and hard difficulty. And then, of course, pairing up with the Dungeon Diver event here, you can basically triple dip as well. But these are going to be big, right? These are going to be big. There's only one, dungeon tournament aligned with the Dungeon Diver. So each one of these dungeon tournaments, so for example, the Spider Tournament here and the Ice Golem here, if you want to basically complete the Dungeon Diver, you're going to be spending a lot of energy in these dungeons. Or you can basically finish these tournaments and jump into the event dungeon and then spend your energy there for the Dungeon Diver. So that's a little bit of a positive. Now, of course, the negative is that the Dungeon Divers are really expensive, and the event dungeon is a little bit on the difficult side for most people, I would say. So not the best, but yeah, we got to make do with what we got here. And then finally, for the third Dungeon Diver, we have a Dragon Tournament following alongside with a Champion Training Tournament and the Champion Chase. Again, this is really good. You can pull Mystery Shards for Champion Chase for a training event, and then Dragon has many options for food farming options if you guys want to do that, and then you guys can basically triple dip along with Dungeon Diver as well. The last Dungeon Diver also has the Fire Knight Tournament along with it, so you guys got 2 tournaments in one Dungeon Diver, which is really good. So overall, I think this schedule is actually very friendly. The events line up very well, giving you lots of opportunity to basically triple dip into your resources. The only real tricky part here is doing the Summon Rush, whether you want to do that or not. Hopefully I highlighted why or who should do the epic as opposed to not doing it. Obviously, if you don't have the resources to get the epic, then it's not really a question for you. But if you do, then you have to weigh out whether you want to conserve sacred shards and skip the epic and then spend more energy throughout the next 2 weeks on Dungeon Divers, for example. The Champion Chase, like I said, it's probably going to be 2x Ancient. It's going to be relatively easy to finish, especially if you save up all the epics for fusion during that time. And since there's going to be training events, you're going to be pulling mystery shards during this champion chase as well, which makes it, obviously a lot easier. Now, no doubt Plarium will definitely throw in some juicy events along the way to make you, entice you into pulling shards along the way. Now, they might even make this champion chase basically like irresistible. It could be like 2x Ancients with another event thrown in, and nothing is stopping Plarium from throwing in other events along the way that are not part of the fusion, but could command your attention as well. So it's always good to allow yourself some buffer, but if you guys are, resource strapped and you guys really want the fusion, let's focus on the fusion only and, focus on getting the fusion at hand instead of focusing on the other things around the fusion. That would be my advice to you guys. Also, since we have this big overarching event campaign that's happening right now, I would expect Plarium to throw out a lot of goodies to entice us further. So for example, in the previous campaigns for like Alice or the Asgard Divide campaign, they were throwing out things like, Hero's Path, or sorry, Deck of Fate for guaranteed champions, big souls for events. In this case, we also have relics that we might want to, shoot for example, or relic materials that will be part of some reward structures for some of these bigger events. So if you're a type of player that really, wants these things, so champions or relic materials or things like that, skipping events is going to be difficult sometimes, especially if they throw some of these rewards into the event that we are trying to skip. For example, if you're trying to skip Dungeon Divers, they might throw in things like relic materials. They might throw in, nice rewards like primal shards at the end, for example. Or you have a champion chase and it might be a guaranteed champion. They might put a guaranteed Gracchos, at the top or something like that, or a winner take all. Not saying everybody can go for a winner take all champion chase, but I'm just saying that is an option for them. And I would say any of the champions that they introduced, like I mentioned, Gracchos here. So Gracchos is one of the new champions being introduced. And then Balar here from the Sylvan Watchers. So Balar. So any of these champions could be part of any kind of event to try to obtain them. Like I said, guaranteed Deck of Fates happened in the past for like Freya. So these champions definitely could show up in any of the events for this fusion. Now, unfortunately, this is basically an all or nothing kind of fusion. If you miss one of the rares or the epic, you're basically done unless you can pull them from a shard. Now, this is difficult, obviously, because the rare is a void rare. So you have to pull void shards to try to get them. And of course, the epic could show up, in the summon rush today if you're pulling Sigurd shards, for example. But yeah, we can't miss any of the events unless you get the epic. So if you don't get the epic in the summon rush this weekend, you have to get every single one of these events. It's basically a no fail situation unless you pull the rare from a void shard. But anyways, that's going to be the fusion calendar here. It does seem overall player friendly. The values, while already expensive, have not gotten more expensive for a fusion that's relatively on the good side. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys can take away some information from it. It was a lot to unpack. The big thing is Tholan Foulbeard, in my opinion, still a good champion. I think maybe he was a little bit overhyped before he was released to the public. There's a bit of negative sentiment around him right now, especially with the promo code offered to brand new players as opposed to existing players, and existing players having to grind him out, etc., etc. But hopefully I provided you guys with enough context in this video that shows that he's actually still a very good champion overall. And hopefully you guys enjoyed my fusion calendar here. Sorry it's a bit late. Hopefully it's helpful for you guys. And best of luck with the fusion ahead. That's going to be it for the video. Thanks for watching again. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are planning to do with everything. How do you guys feel about everything? Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video.